also be going live in a moment.
Okay. I think I'm live now. Seems like it's going, which is good.
I'm just waiting for mine to connect. You'll probably go live first, so...
Yeah, it looks like I'm live.
You can do your introduction first or start whenever.
Yeah.
I just need like 1 minute to do...
No worries.
Link spam.
You get that promotion out there. I will say welcome to anybody watching the stream. My name is Fiverr, and I am co-streaming with Liam from Millennial Model Mayhem tonight. I'm going to be working on a Gundam, which I don't usually paint, but we're doing that tonight.
Heck yeah.
There's like a lot of base coating that I should be worried about probably, but I'm just gonna start painting the pizza aspects of this Gundam, because I don't know how nice it needs to look in the end, and that's what I want to do.
I just like, that's a really good sentence. Like, what was it exactly? Like, I just need to work on the pizza elements of the Gundam.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, that's just a good sentence in general to hear, I think. You don't often hear those combined with, or pizza and Gundam.
Yeah, it's not the most common combination that is out there in the world. But I feel like a lot of people probably eat pizza while watching Gundam anime, so it can't be that far off. You know?
Yeah, that's true. Pizza and like anime are like two things that go together very well.
They do. Pizza isn't a food where you have to like look at the food that you're eating while you're eating it. You know, like if you have a bowl of soup or something, you have to keep looking down to make sure that you're not going to spill soup all over yourself. But pizza you can just go for.
Yeah, soup is I don't know. Do you think soup is a polarizing food? I feel like there's lots of I see lots of memes about people being like, I'm just really into soup.
I think soup is fine, but like I definitely don't like all soups equally. Um, I'm definitely one of those people who are like, if food has a weird texture, it's not something I'm gonna look forward to eating as much. So there's a lot of soups where I'm like, everything is too soggy because it is a soup, and that is an aspect of soup. So I'm not one of those people who's like, holy crap, it's fall time for soup. You know?
Yeah, that's that kind of thing. I guess we forgot, or you did your introduction. I didn't really do mine. I'll get that out of the way quick. I'm Liam, Millennial Model Mayhem. Paint Minis is stream with Fiverr, and we're just streaming at the same time for fun. So watch whichever stream you like. But the thing is, you can watch both streams at the same time and just mute the audio on one, and you get the same experience more or less.
That's the idea. Yep. You always remember to say that, and I I forget. Always like, oh yeah, I should say that, and then you got my back, and you remember to say, people pull up both streams, mute one of them that way, because we haven't.
I feel like it's a good big brain move. It's like, yeah, just we're both getting that sweet watch time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's definitely not because neither of us have bothered to figure out how to put both cameras on one stream. It's absolutely just a scheme to get more watch time.
Yeah. I mean, it's on that note, like, it's definitely a good excuse not to like have to go through the pain that is learning like a new streaming method or like new janky thing that YouTube says you can do.
Agreed.
Then out a Conch Zero tonight. It's just some fizzy lemon water because I need bird fuel, you know.
Go for it. It's pretty good.
That was nice and crispy.
Hello, Max. Hello, Rothian. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you guys here.
Yes, hello, Nathaniel and Robert. Robert is on the WAP train now. So on that note, I'll open my wet palette. It doesn't look like a total disaster, so that's good.
Just like that you call it a WAP. It makes me laugh every time.
Glad you think it's funny. I feel like sometimes I'm at risk of overusing the joke.
No, never.
Nathaniel brings up an interesting point about Code Geass, the anime. Have you seen that anime?
I have not seen it, but I've heard of that one. So I've like at least seen it come up in my Netflix or whatever, Hulu, whatever it's on. I've seen it in the suggestions for like animes that you should watch.
There's a bunch of like really obvious Pizza Hut product placement in it, just like for no reason other than like, yeah, Pizza Hut.
You told me about this. You told me about this before.
It's pretty hilarious.
And then
It's like it's literally the only food the characters in the anime eat the whole anime, from what I remember. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong, but that's how I like to remember it. It's just they're always eating pizza, and it's specifically animated to look like Pizza Hut, and they even have the cheese stuffed crust, cheese pull, and everything.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So yeah, Code Geass. So watch it for the, or you start watching it for the mechs and the fan service, but then you just keep watching it for that sweet Pizza Hut stuffed crust cheese pull. Am I right?
Yep, absolutely. Hello, the Fanta Warrior. Hello, Josh. Josh says hot D. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that.
Josh is really excited to talk about Hot D. Didn't he say something in your Discord about that?
He did, yeah, and it's great because I have a spam bot in my chat also talking about hot D of a different kind, so that's hilarious. Don't click on any of those links. I did, yeah. Yeah, just a spam bot trying to get people to go to a adult website, which they obviously will use to fill your computer with viruses. Circling back to the Pizza Hut thing, though, there is an anime called The King's Avatar, which is about professional like esports players, and their first season was sponsored by McDonald's, so there's just really aggressive McDonald's promotion, and then the next season they did not get that sponsorship again, so they're just eating like regular food and there's no mention of McDonald's whatsoever.
That's good.
It's so good. The King's Avatar. It's all up on YouTube. I can send you a link to it. It's all right. It was fine, you know. I'd rate it like a solid like 7 out of 10.
Excuse me.
It's not gonna. It's not gonna change your life like Evangelion did for me when I was like, holy shit, I have so many thoughts. But it's fun. It passes the time. The characters are funny. It's a good little anime.
I like how or I was gonna say, like, it's always good when the anime's for free on YouTube. And then I also thought, like, yeah, usually if an anime's as good as Evangelion, it's not free on YouTube.
My favorite anime, Modazushi, was free on YouTube for the longest time, like for years. And then they moved it over to their premium, like only the first episode is available. But I have my Malaysian knockoffs of the DVDs where I've kept trying to buy the official DVD off like eBay because that's the only place I can find it listed, and I keep getting knockoffs. So one day maybe I'll find the official DVD for sale for someone who will ship to America, but days far off in my future apparently.
That sounds or I'm familiar with this frustration of trying to acquire anime where you're like, yes, I like this art product and I would like to spend money on it to support the artist, but like sometimes that stuff just really pays the overseas tax if you're buying it from North America, it feels like.
Like, I genuinely wouldn't even care that it's expensive because it's my favorite, like, show, and I would like to own it in an official capacity. I remember back when it was first coming out, I was willing to pay a subscription fee to a service to watch it. It just wasn't streaming anywhere. I was getting it from Tumblr links from very dedicated fans who had translated it with fan translations. This was old
Like the good
school.
old days.
Yeah. So, um, I've tried to watch it in an official capacity, or buy it in an official capacity, but the struggle has been real for this particular anime.
Yeah, I feel ya. Nathaniel makes a good point. Gundam Info, the YouTube channel, puts a lot of Gundam shows up for free. A lot of the time, they kind of like do the thing where they will release a show for free in entirety and then just rotate it out for a different show after a while. So
Mm.
that's always good to see. I think right now Gundam Seed is on there, which I haven't watched, so I can't give it any sort of recommendation. But the mech designs from that show are good.
I'll have to check those out. While Josh is here, because he's excited for it, do you want to start the Hot D conversation?
Oh yeah, and I missed a message from Robert earlier. It was like Hot D and WAP. WTF stream is this? It's a good stream. That's what it is.
Oh no.
My bitrate. YouTube's doing that thing where it's like your bitrate is slow, and then my computer just got a notification from the background that's like your Razer mouse software update is ready to go, and I would just have the reaction like, was I really lagging because some mouse software was downloading without me even asking for it?
I hope not.
When that happens.
Jeez, so relatable. I hate it when my mouse software hasn't updated.
What's
All right.
it got to do anyways?
So,
Like a security threat?
yeah, someone's gonna hack your computer through your mouse. That's why it needs to update.
Yeah, I feel like we should. Hot D is a pretty hot show these days, so we should try and like stay spoiler free.
That's fair.
The big exciting spoilery stuff.
Okay, we're definitely gonna spoil episode 1. Like, you should have seen that by now. That's gonna be considered not spoiling. But anything beyond episode 1, I will consider, I'll either spoiler warning or try not to spoil at all. But, like, I do have to say the name of the characters and what they do in order to talk about the show, you know?
Yeah, and episode 1 is totally free to watch on HBO Max or something. That's how I watched it. I watched it for the first episode for free, and then after that I was like, parents, I must borrow your account for research.
Josh says he can only hear me through my stream. I've adjusted the settings. Let me know if that fixes it.
Oh dear. Can you still hear me?
Josh, could you let us know if you can hear Liam now? That would be great.
Or I mean, can you still hear me, Fiverr?
I can still hear you, and now Josh can hear you as well. So it looks like the adjustment that I made worked. Brandon has come in to ask a very important question, to ask if donuts are my favorite food. Very, very important question. I do love donuts. They are fantastic. My favorite donut would be a Krispy Kreme strawberry frosted with sprinkles. But they are not my favorite food. My favorite food is actually Korean barbecue, which isn't like sugary or sweet at all. But I do love some Korean barbecue. Specifically, pork bulgogi is great.
Did you see bulgogi?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, me and Blue Parappa go to this Korean fried chicken place way too often. They have bulgogi fries, which are like, we just slam those.
That sounds
so good.
amazing. When I come to Canada, you've got to take me there.
Oh, for sure. Oh, hey, YouTube isn't giving me the slow bitrate warning, so maybe it literally was some unwarranted mouse update.
All right, Josh, another spoiler for you. Yes, there are dragons in House of the Dragon. There are many multiple dragons.
Yeah. Yeah, which was like ultimately what convinced me to finally break down and watch it. The same thing, I told you this story already kind of, but I'll tell it again for the stream about how like last year, YouTube was happening with so many shows with me. YouTube will just suggest, when you're swiping around YouTube on your phone, it'll suggest you YouTube videos that are like, a big important scene from The Boys, or what's another one that happened recently? Invincible. This really like spoiler intense scene. Let's just put it across your feed, and we're gonna autoplay it too. And if it's an interesting show, sometimes it's hard to look away, and then before you know it, it's like, oh whoops, the whole season finale got spoiled for me. And with The Boys, that ended up with me still watching the entire show. Like, it was a good enough show, even though all the stuff got spoiled. It was still very enjoyable, and I don't regret watching it. But then it started to happen with Hot D when it started airing, so that's when I guess the seed was planted in the back of my head. I'm like, look, I'm enough of a fantasy nut and nerd that, like, you gotta watch this eventually. I mean, look at the dragons. That scene that got spoiled for you on the YouTube autoplay had some cool dragon stuff. So I just broke down and watched it, and had a good time.
Josh, I worry you want us to talk about Laris for the wrong reasons there.
What's Josh saying?
He's asking how much we're gonna spoil because he's seen the whole season. And he's like, I want to talk about Laris. That's the like the not Peter Baelish guy, right? I think.
Oh, Laris Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one character that was pretty objectively evil, and like I had not much sympathy for him. I can say that without talking about spoilers.
Yeah, it's kind of like if Vincent Price is playing a character or Tim Curry, you're like, yeah, it's not a spoiler that they're evil, that's just gonna happen at some point. Like, he was very obviously not a good person. I do feel like we need to take a moment, like, just because, both of us being queer hobbyists, I think we need to highlight the fact that Emma Darcy being identifying as non-binary and using they them pronouns and being literally one of the most fantastic actors that we've seen in the entire Game of Thrones franchise within a season, like, that is so amazing, and it makes me so happy, and everybody's just respecting the fuck out of them, and I get to see articles where they actually use they them pronouns correctly. Yeah. So if nothing else, even if Hot D tanks like seasons from now, I'm gonna put that as a personal victory, because that's just so fucking cool.
Yeah, they are a really good actor, and yeah, it's a huge W. All the acting was pretty good, I'd say, for the most part. There was only like a couple scenes where I was like, that fake cry isn't that good.
Yeah.
There's no actual tears. But I was pretty engaged by most of the performances, especially Emma Darcy's.
Emma Darcy's is fantastic. Some of the child actors, I'm kind of like, it's fine.
I think you just heard them wrong, Robert. So I was just saying something in my chat. They were just pointing out that Emma Darcy, the actor that plays, the Targaryen names I'm so bad with names.
Rhaenyra Targaryen.
Rhaenyra. I always want to call them Rhaenys, but that's someone else. I think.
I don't even know if that's a character. To be fair with you, I think you're making up Targaryen names.
Look, I've been just. This week has mostly been painting and like having Game of Thrones lore or Song of Ice and Fire lore channel videos playing in the background, so my head is full of so many like Sir this and Sir that and Rhaenys, Aegon, Aemond.
Yeah, everybody needs to stop naming their kid Aegon. Like, you cannot. That's such a bad name. It doesn't sound good, and there's like 5 of them at this point. Like, no one gets to put an egg on anybody else, okay? We're done with the eggs. This is not Game of Eggs. This is House of Dragons.
But Aegon the Conqueror, though.
Well, he can kiss my ass, okay? He's dead, and people need to stop naming their children after him.
Yeah, fair. He was dead a while ago.
Right?
Yeah, Robert, we're just celebrating that Emma Darcy goes by they, them pronouns, and it's in a very big and popular show, and everyone's like, cool.
Yeah, everybody's been respecting it, from what I can see. Like, there hasn't been, and you would expect there to be, but, like, people who have written articles seem to be using the correct pronouns for them, and no one's been, like, really annoying about it in the media. At least none of the major sources that I've said. Like, it's not like someone's sending them a bunch of hate for being non-binary. Everybody's just being chill about it, which is really cool.
I tried to time that one so I didn't interrupt you. I don't mean to ruin that sentence, but yeah.
That was so well timed.
Yeah. I guess I put a reminder in my calendar earlier today because I kept forgetting to do it, to add my pronouns to my like Instagram bio. I can't remember if they're on my Instagram or Twitter, but I need to like go update those. I just saw that because we also neglected to do that in the intro, but I'm he him pronouns.
Oh, I'm they them pronouns.
Oh no, I think the wet palette paper I'm using right now is like really thin, so sometimes I accidentally like punch through it with my brush. Okay, it looks like I just need to lift up my palette paper to check there for a second. It was some paint gunk that's in the water. I thought that was like a tear in the paper, but it's all good. Never mind.
Cool. So speaking of Hot D, without spoilers, that is going to be a little tricky. But like, what did you think of it overall? Did you have a good time watching it?
Oh yeah, kind of like, near the beginning, it was similar to feelings to what you said about like it kind of being overshadowed by Game of Thrones, by the Phantom of Game of Thrones, because it ended in such a massive train wreck. But then by episode 5, I was like, it felt definitely like it had come into its own, and it was the fully formed Hot D it was meant to be, you could say.
Agreed. Definitely agreed. Brady, hello. You had a message redacted in the chat, so don't know what that means.
I forgot to check for that.
Also, hi, Owen. I don't know how to make your message not redacted, Brady. I'm sorry, but you said Phantom of Thrones, and yeah, very much so. I feel like the first episode or two, you're worried about it being just Game of Thrones again, but by episode 4 or 5, it really finds its own identity, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm watching something different and something really good.
Yeah, it was like, I felt like more honed in on the whole like politics drama side, which
and
was good, but
its time skips are really helpful as well to differentiate it, because I feel like with Game of Thrones, you're literally going through day by day or week by week, but with Hot D, it'll be like several months later, and it doesn't specify the amount of time, so you're almost playing catch-up to figure out where you're at.
Yeah, that game of catch-up was good sometimes, but sometimes it was a little jarring. Like, when the big time jumps happened, I was like, it was a little jarring for me, but I'm still a fan of time jumps. Robert in my chat brings up the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game, which I don't have any of, but at one point in my life, the timelines could have played out differently, and I would get into that game. I kind of have like the rank and flank style war game right now with Conquest, which I'm painting tonight, but after I finished watching Hot D, there was definitely, you do the usual thing when you finish a show and go to the wikis and whatnot and read up about stuff, and then, I ended up on the website for the Song and Ice and Fire miniatures game and had like over a dozen tabs and like, ooh, look at these minis and these minis. And I was at my local gaming store today actually, and I had like a bunch of product for that game. I'd be like, huh, I could buy this Baratheon starter set. Wouldn't that be crazy? Huh.
What house would you go with if you could pick any for the Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game?
Probably Baratheon.
Okay.
I have a thing for like animals with antlers, and on top of that, I also like it when people have big hammers and when it's hammer time. So House Baratheon, all their like fancy knights have antlers and big like great hammers. So I'm just set.
That would be pretty cool. I don't know
What
what
about
the
you?
miniatures look like at all. Like I haven't researched the
Oh,
game at all.
they're pretty
But
good.
I would 1,000% have to go with House Greyjoy. They were my favorite when I read the books because
Oh
I
yeah,
just like in the novel, the first Game of Thrones novel, which I believe is called A Game of Thrones, but it's been
yeah,
like I was reading these in high school when probably I shouldn't have been. Um,
yeah.
like in the middle of physics class and stuff like that. I have dyscalculia. I was not going to pass like math with a good grade, so I just kind of gave up and then guessed my way into C's and D's. Which worked. I mean,
I
I
feel you.
graduated college, so it all worked out in the end. But I distinctly remember thinking that Theon Greyjoy's name was kind of interesting. Like Greyjoy as a last name, I just thought was funny for some reason. And then the only thing that he does in like the first book is someone gets executed. I don't remember who. It's probably not an important person. It's probably just another like Game of Thrones somebody dies because I think it's the
It's
scene
the
where
If it's the first book, then it's probably Ned Stark.
no, but it wasn't Ned Stark because it was Ned talking to his kids, I think, about
Oh yeah,
the whole he who passes the sentence should swing the sword thing. So I think he had to like
yeah.
execute some deserter from the Night's Watch or something like that. Like episode 1 shit. Not
Mm-hmm.
very important.
Yeah, I
But
know what you're talking about.
Theon, like, just kicks the dead guy's head and laughs. And I was like, is that where he got the name Greyjoy from? Does he just have a really twisted sense of humor? And then I thought that was kind of interesting. But then later learning that they're basically pirates and the Kraken is their sigil, I thought was cool as hell. So
Yeah.
I'd probably have to go with House Greyjoy despite all the shit that happens with Theon later in the
Yeah.
books.
Yeah, it's interesting, or it's funny that you say Greyjoy because in Robert's original message, he said he has 30 to 40 points of Greyjoys, and then later on they said, "We do not sow. Looks like I have to switch to Sugar's stream. Sorry, M."
We do not sow. Yes. It's a cool house motto. And because I am changing my name legally, I did for a time consider Greyjoy as a last name.
Oh my god,
Like I seriously considered it for about 4 weeks, but I
that's
decided that
awesome.
Fiverr Greyjoy does not sound very good. It just didn't sound good as a
Yeah.
last name with my first name, so it was rejected. But it was seriously considered.
Yeah, and then everyone will associate you with like Game of Thrones TV version. You're on Greyjoy
Mm,
on that like train wreck ending. So in hindsight, probably a good move.
yeah. I thought about it for a good long while, but you know, especially with how Game of Thrones ended, I was like, very glad that I did not hop on the train of people like naming their daughters Khaleesi and
Yeah,
stuff like
that's
that.
always rough.
Like, oh no.
There's lots of kids also born like, years earlier than the Game of Thrones kids that were born with Harry Potter names.
Yeah. There's a lot of Hermiones out there in this world. I'd love to meet
Oh yeah.
a kid named Naruto, like just out there in the
What?
wild, like just some random
Damn.
kid named after Naruto, who I think that would be interesting. I'm sure there's a guy out there. There's got to be at least one. But like I
What's
work
that?
a
Murphy's
job.
Law.
I work a job where I handle patients' accounts. Like I see people's first and last names, and obviously I'm not going to give out any
Yeah.
protected information. But, like, if you name your child something and it's a fandom name, I know. I see it and I know, okay? I see what's happened here.
Yeah.
There
It
have
takes a lot
been
of balls to name your child after a fandom.
there have definitely been some Khaleesi's and some Hermione's that I can verify.
Can confirm.
Can confirm.
Damn. I don't know if I believe him, but Robert says he knew a kid named Yu-Gi-Oh! McDonald.
I think if I were ever to build a Space Marine army after painting the single Space Marine that I did paint, whose name is Sauron Goku, because that's how I misheard the first word in Cruel Angel's thesis. But I would have to give them all names like that. I would have to.
I forgot about your Space Marine's name being Sauron Goku.
Sauron Goku, yeah. Oh god, Brady says Fiverr Sanchez Greyjoy Jr. No, god no, that is not my name. Thank you though. Josh, you should not apologize for naming your cat Samwell. That's a fantastic name.
Yeah.
I would name my cats a bunch of dumb shit. Like, I saw a comic the other day where someone had a cat named Business Expenses in it, and I was like, that's a great cat name. That is 100%
cat name.
fantastic cat name. And I was like, I need a fourth cat, and then I was like, I do not need a fourth cat just because the name is funny. I do not.
Are you gonna, like, add your own twist to it? Be like, oh, this is my cat, investment firm or something, I don't know.
Yeah, like investment portfolio, tax refund, something like that, I think would be a really funny cat name.
I saw some kind of, like, news post on my Instagram that got fed to me about a burger place in Toronto that renamed all the burgers on their menu to things like photocopying supplies or like things that you would
whiteboard eraser and stuff. Yeah, I remember seeing
that's
that.
That's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the conversation on Hot D left Hot D pretty quickly.
It really did. Yeah, I suddenly realized that like the stuff I wanted to talk about with Amond would be very spoiler heavy. And then I was like, what other stuff can we talk about? I think the costumes are fantastic. Like they
I love the costumes.
One of my favorite parts about Game of Thrones as like a franchise is that they were paying for these costumes. Like there is no way the average show can afford to go off with the level of costuming, and I was hoping that would be carried through in Hot D as well, and it is. There's some armor sets that Damon has that I'm just like, I want that. I want that so bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, before Hot D, I was like, Matt Smith, I'm not really into Doctor Who at all, so I, like, hadn't really watched anything with him, but then, you know, he had that starring role in the hit film Morbius, which I haven't seen, but I have seen that dancing scene with Matt Smith many times. You know the one?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, watching Hot D, I'm like, damn, that's some sexy armor, Matt Damon, because I kept accidentally calling him Matt Damon because he plays Daemon Targaryen.
I think that's fair of you. I honestly do.
Did you ever make that mistake?
I did not, but I had watched Doctor Who a fair amount, so I did know him as, like, Matt Smith beforehand. And I think that made it easier for me to differentiate between the two.
Yeah, Matt Smith, when he's swinging that sword, it's a sight to behold, let me tell you. And also, his dragon was pretty good.
His dragon's the best design, in my opinion. I like his dragon the most, yeah.
Caraxie's your favorite dragon?
Caraxie's for best dragon, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a pretty spicy noodle, like, literally.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, it's the big boy, Vargas?
Vagar,
I was close. There's the human names and then the dragon names on top of that. Good luck. Like, there'll be a quiz next week.
Well, like, one of them is named, like, like Dreamfire or some shit like that, and then you have
there's
Vagar,
Dreamfire, Sunfire,
uh,
Sea Smoke.
Caraxes. Yeah, Sea Smoke is a cool name. I approve of that one. I forget what I forget even her name. There's so many names to keep track of, but
Oh
like
yeah, hers. Yeah, I
um
can't remember what hers is called either.
the the like Lord of the Tide's wife. I forget her
Oh yeah,
name. Um,
Rainies.
Rhaenys, yeah, that's what it is. And
Oh, I remembered a name. Look at me go.
I forget her dragon as well. So
Oh yeah,
whoopsie.
her dragon was pretty cool too. Hers was like one of
Yeah.
the bigger ones, big red one.
I did like the contrast between the two different tournaments that are presented because fairly early on in Game of Thrones, you have that tournament with Loras Tyrell, the Knight of Flowers, winning, well, fake winning over Sansa when he's really thirsting after Renly, which, yes, fair, let's have that happen.
Yeah.
But that's like
Whoa.
your,
Sorry, that one just came out all on its own. I swear.
but that's like your stereotypical, like, we are shooting a tournament for a show, we are going to have an enjoyable time. Very like Knight's Tale, Merlin,
Yeah.
little on the violence, just pageantry, really. But then Hot D is like, you know what? These tournaments were very bloody and very violent, and that I thought was a great way of trying to, even in a world of Game of Thrones where you already know that it's going to be super violent and because they can get whatever rating they need to, basically. You're like the blood and sex is already just a conceit of you watching a Game of Thrones product. But they did well to kind of set the tone that yeah, this is going to be right from the get-go. We're sticking with that.
Gore confirmed, but it was like it came in pretty short bursts with Hot D. I found like there was a lot of episodes that went by where like barely anything R-rated happened, but it was still like an engaging episode. You know, for that sweet Hot D as in hot drama.
Yeah, absolutely. Not that there needs
Is
to
that
be
what
something
the D stands for?
R-rated for a show to be good. I want to get that out of the way. Like that's not. I don't watch Game of Thrones specifically because it's R-rated or anything like that. That's not what I'm looking for. If you just throw a bunch of blood and sex on the screen, that is not going to hold my interest. So I'm glad it had an engaging plot.
The one thing I was like, I feel like the like season, if we're comparing it to season 1 of Game of Thrones, I thought season 1 of Game of Thrones had a lot like it had more and like better sword fighting scenes. Like I love me a good, you know, like well choreographed clang 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 sword fight. And there's like a few pretty choice ones in Game of Thrones, and Hot D had a few, but I still felt a little wanting. But I guess like the season 1 is just kind of like the prelude to the big like whole story that's included in that the book. Is the book called The Dance of Dragons?
I don't fucking know. I don't know. George R. R. Martin is off doing a bunch of random projects and may finish his books at some point. I tend to doubt it. I think he's just.
How many of them have you read?
I've read all of them. All of the all of the ones in the Song of Ice and Fire anyway. Yeah. I haven't read the one that House of Dragon is based off because once I realized that he was just kind of putzing around writing random shit, I was like, yeah. But the thing is, I read those when I was in high school. I do not remember them very well at all. Like, that was a long time ago. So when the new one comes out, I don't even know if I'll read it because I'll just kind of be like, yeah, whatever. I'll just read a Wikipedia summary of this. I would have really cared if it came out a while ago, but I don't even remember, like, a lot of the plot differences because there's just been so much time and they're such dense books.
Yeah. I only read the first 2, and I enjoyed them.
I hated the perspective switch. It was so frustrating. I'd be getting, like, really into, like, a good, like, Jon Snow chapter or a nice Dany chapter. and then it would be like, oh, you know what you get next? Catelyn Stark. And I'd be like, fuck this shit. I don't want to read about her. She's my least favorite. Like, I hope something terrible happens. Boy,
Damn.
did I get that wish granted.
You sure did. Yeah, it's I can get why for like diehard Game of Thrones fans, the pace at which he's like working on other stuff instead of finishing the series. Oh, I messed up that burp. I can understand how that would be like very frustrating.
It's fine though. Like as I've mentioned before, I've written a lot of Bloodborne fan fiction, and at one point I had finished 2 of the entries into a 3-part series, and each novel I was trying to like accomplish a different thing. And I had very much decided I wanted to try and write something with alternating perspectives in the same way that Game of Thrones was, and a similar length to a Game of Thrones book. And I got to a similar length, and I did alternating perspectives, but I got really tired of writing, and I took a break, and then I couldn't remember any of my plot or who any of the characters were. So I just stopped and never finished the 3rd entry into that, which people would occasionally ask about, and I would just be like, yeah, I don't remember what's happening at all or what my plans were. It doesn't have a conclusion. I am so sorry, but I'm a human with an actual life, and I just don't remember the fucking Bloodborne fanfiction I was writing. I feel like George, I mean, he's a professional, obviously, and I was a college student writing fanfiction for a video game, so there's a world of difference between that. But I do also feel like he may forget what his plot and characters are at some point in time. He is getting up there in years.
Yeah. Did you ever read the Wheel of Time fantasy books?
I did not. I never had those recommended to me. I know they're like a classic now, but I never got around to them.
Yeah, I read the first 6 of them, but this was way back in like junior high mostly, like late junior high. So same situation where like I would forget if I went back to like pick up the 7th book, but you know, he was taking a while to finish the series too, and then he ended up passing away before he finished it, so they had to get Brandon Sanderson to finish this book series.
I feel like Brandon Sanderson is a man that I would trust to finish most things. He seems pretty good. Also, Josh says Wheel of Time is bad and he hates them, so sorry, Josh.
Okay. I haven't watched the show, but that's something I've been meaning to check out because I read the first 6 books. And I remember them decently fondly, but those books were also just very dense with lots of politics. And, like, I found the beginning and end of each book was really good, but then the middle was always, or not always, but a lot of the time a bit of a slog. And when I got to book 6, I was like, I can't do it anymore. I want to read something else. And
That's
that was
very
when
fair.
Robert Jordan was still alive.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
I have a lobster with me now. He is demanding cuddles and pets. Hello, lobster.
Was it lobster the other day on that stream of yours I was watching where you like was up like full on up on your lap while you were painting?
Yes.
That's pretty epic.
That's what he's doing right now. He is trying to get comfortable, and I'm trying to convince him to sit somewhere else, but I don't think I'm winning this battle. He's very demanding today. Hi, buddy. Hi.
It's a classic cat move.
It really is. He might purr loud enough that people can hear it. I'm not sure if that will happen, but we'll see. Sometimes he's loud boy.
Enhance the stream. Well, maybe we'll circle back more to Hot D later because it's been a while since you've given us a JoJo update. So you're watching part 4 now? I'm
on part 4 still.
Well done.
I'm trying, but like, oh my god, I don't like anybody, and my and like Dio is presumably dead, even though I know he's probably coming back later somehow in some bullshit form. But they don't have a very interesting villain. I kind of don't care about anybody, which is making it really hard. Like, I'm not even really like, Josuke is just fine. He's just fine. I don't really care.
Josuke's a bit of a bitch. It's okay to say that.
Yeah, he really is. Okuyasu is like usually the kind of character that I would enjoy. Like I like the dumb ones, but he's really dumb and it's not enjoyable.
What episode are you on?
I
Or, like,
I just watched the episode where they win the lottery by using that weird kid stand whose his stand is just a bunch of bugs. And
yeah, okay.
they get the fucking lottery ticket, and then he's like, "Oh, screw you! I don't want to share the money with you." And they're like, "We're gonna beat you up until you do." And he's like, "My stand's better than yours." And then they're like, "Our stand is better than yours." And they just sort of have a dumb battle, and then
they go aura, aura, aura.
And then they win the lottery. Like, what the fuck? How do you resolve this by them actually getting the thing that they were after when they're all being shitheads about it? It's stupid.
Yeah,
I hate it.
You're at like the right before the part in the show where the main like villain of part 4, like where they have the first encounter with him. I will tell you that it's not Dio, so.
And that's okay. I'm fine with it not being Dio, but I want someone interesting to do something.
Oh, they're very interesting. Don't worry. Yeah, I remember noticing that about part 4. Like the first big chunk of it is like just a bunch of like a stand user of the week, if you will.
It really is. The Phanta Warrior has asked what I'm painting, and that's a good time to refresh people on the fact that I am in fact painting a Gundam, which I don't usually do. This is the first Gundam I ever built. He's gonna have giant pizzas on his shoulders, and I'm slowly painting them, but it's taking some time.
It's gonna be amazing.
Just trust the process. It's gonna look great.
No, Nathaniel says he just skipped to part 5.
Listen, I'm not gonna skip. If I'm gonna say that I watched JoJo's, I suffered through part 3 and all the weird piss jokes in that, so I'm gonna tough it the fuck out. But like, it's getting really bad because I feel like they're just throwing ideas out there right now. They're like, ooh, what if we had a ghost episode? What if they won the lottery? What if there was an invisible baby? What if this lady's hair was also a stand? What if you could punch the elements of spaghetti back into their component parts? Like, it's just so stupid. Like, I usually can look at JoJo and be like, that was dumb, but I'm having a good time. Right now, I'm just like, I am not having a good time, and that was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that first chunk of part 4 that we're referring to, it's funny. I feel like such a JoJo apologist, but like, and I also feel like a broken record, because I'm like, no, you're like right before the really good part, and you're probably like, he's just gaslighting me this whole time that JoJo's good, actually, but it's not.
Oh no, I fully believe it. JoJo is not meant for me. Like, I am not the target audience for JoJo. Overall, I would never recommend this show to anyone. I can't say that I like it, okay? Like, if you were to be like, I am putting a lie detector test on you, do you like JoJo? No, I don't. I think it's pretty ridiculous. Sometimes the fashion and character designs are fun, but overall, it's not great. I'm having a very good time because I get to send you my reactions and talk about it.
Yeah.
And, like, that's fun for me because I consume way too much media, and it's fun to yell at someone about what I'm watching. But if I had just picked this randomly on Netflix to be like, ooh, let me check out what all this JoJo Bizarre Adventure shit is about, I would have stopped easily mid-season 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, but totally believable. And yeah, I think the entire first chunk of part 4 kind of just like rests on the shoulders of that episode with the Italian stand user.
And we've had Italian stand users before. We had Caesar. Well, I guess he didn't technically use a stand. He was doing weird shit with bubble guns. But, like, you know, same nonsense, different name.
Yeah, and then for a second I thought Caesar was the one with the steel clackers, but that's Joseph.
Which is dumb. It's fucking stupid as shit. So bad.
Yeah, they barely come up too.
They really do. Like, for all that's featured in the intro, like the opening with them, they're hardly relevant, which is fine. But like I hated him as a protagonist. I was like, this guy's a dick and I don't like him. And then I watched season 3 and I was like, this guy's a dick and I don't like him. But as that's gone on, I've slowly missed all of the previous protagonists so much. I'm like, man, if only. But like they keep giving them to me. They're like, oh, what if old man JoJo is gonna be here for an episode? Oh, what if Jotaro shows up for an episode or two? Like, no, just fucking stop.
I was very triggered when Jotaro first showed up in part 4 because they changed, his character design where his outfit's mostly white.
Yeah.
And then his fucking, like, black hair, which was, like, there was that dumb joke in part 3 about, like, oh, where does his hair end and his hat begin?
Mm-hmm.
It's unclear, but now they just fucking made his hat white, so his black hair just blends into the hat with, like, a black to white gradient. I'm like, when that happened, I was like, oh, I hate that so much.
I also hate the fact that he's just like, I'm a marine biologist now. Like, you showed no interest in marine biology. And, like, there was every opportunity for you to. You were on a boat. I'm pretty sure you had to, like, punch a shark to death or something. Like, at one point, they were fighting something in the water. I don't remember what kind of bullshit stand it was, because it's been a while. But, like, he could have showed an interest. There were definitely opportunities.
Yeah, honestly, it's a huge meme that he's a marine biologist.
Like, I feel like you have to have a passion for that as a career. And, like, they could have chosen literally anything for him to do, because his marine biology has not been relevant at any point in time. It's not been like, oh, we need to go track down this jellyfish who can also use a stand. Isn't that... Because part 3 is the one where a walrus... Or no, it's not a walrus. An orangutan is, like, on a boat. And as a stand user,
orangutan, they're
walrus.
pretty
I was trying to picture what it was, and I just pictured big, weird animal. And apparently walrus is kind of...
Sorry,
we also had a rat.
We
had a rat that was a stand user. That was stupid as fuck. That was a waste of my time. I was so mad at that episode. I'm like, why the fuck are we tracking down a rat who's a stand user? That's stupid. It was dumb. It was so dumb.
Because that time, the manga author was like, I guess I'll do a rat stand user in this chapter.
The manga stand user, Rohan Kishibe, is that his name?
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of almost interesting, but then his power is such bullshit. Let me just rip off your face and make it into paper.
It's literally bullshit.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Yeah. He's like, let me just rewrite your life story to make it so, he gets to, like, fighting game handicap health himself,
Yeah. He's just using cheats, basically. He's just hacking.
Yeah, cheat codes.
He's using cheat codes. That's his stand power.
Talk about life hacks.
Yeah, so I'm not enjoying this season of JoJo as much as I could be. But hopefully season 5 is good. I don't know. We'll find out.
Part 5 JoJo is known to be the gayest of the parts so
okay,
far.
Cool. I mean, it's gotten pretty gay. Like, I'm not gonna say that JoJo and Caesar weren't totally in love. And I'm not gonna say that,
for sure.
Jotaro and what's his name with the stupid hair weren't kind of a thing. Like, I could have seen that.
Polnareff?
No, the other stupid hair. The one with orange hair that's dumb.
No, not Okuyasu. The guy with emerald.
Yeah, emerald,
whatever.
What's his...
Kekyoin?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, the guy with the cherry meme where I don't know what he does in English, but in the Japanese one, it's also a meme of just, like, posting the clip of him going, like, with the cherry for no reason.
But, like, he basically dies to save Jotaro's life. Like, everybody's gonna die anyway, but he dies to save his... Oh, shit, sorry.
Oh wait, yeah,
listen,
spoilers don't matter for JoJo. It's fine.
spoilers for JoJo can't matter because I'm sorry, there's no way for me to remember the amount of bullshit that I've seen and what people would want. Like, I don't know. If someone spoiled what happened in JoJo for me, I wouldn't be mad about it because there'd be so much bullshit you can't condense into a single spoiler that I'd still watch the season. Because, like, even with all that I've said, I'm sure I've missed some Stan users or some bullshit that's still, like, if it happened in any other anime, it would be the weirdest episode of that anime that nobody would ever stop talking about. Like, you put a rat stand user in any other anime, and people would be like, yeah, that one episode where the rat has a fucking Gatling gun and tries to kill people is really weird.
I remember one time, with my friend that I've, like, started watching JoJo together, because there was, like, we were just getting inundated with JoJo memes, and, you know, now we're all the way up to watching part 6, and it's been a wild ride. But, where was I going with this? Was the oh, yeah, we were, like, coming upstairs after watching some episodes, and I was just, like, casually chatting with him about it, and we had just watched the episode in part 3 with the baby.
Yeah.
That, like, the baby that, like, has the stand that interacts with you in your dreams and stuff. And so we were walking up and upstairs, and I was like, well, I'm glad they didn't have to unalive the baby in that episode. And my roommate, like, pokes his head in from the other room. He's like, excuse me, what were you watching?
Yeah. I feel like if I don't disclaim the fact that I'm talking about JoJo and then say half the shit that happens in JoJo, people are gonna be like, yeah, I can't follow that. I was messaging my friend Adam about Chainsaw Man just because I feel the need to give him information about anime when he doesn't watch any. Because I'm a gift to this world, and he really enjoys the fact that every Tuesday he gets a random Chainsaw Man fact. And for the past 4 episodes of Chainsaw Man, I'd been able to say stuff that made sense. I had been like, oh, you know, there's a cat in this episode named Meowie, which is kind of funny. Or like, I have been watching Chainsaw Man, and he does, in fact, turn into a Chainsaw Man. And he's like, okay. But at episode 5, I added too many details about what was going on, and I was like, this is the point. I'm into this anime too deep that I can just casually say stuff about it and have people understand what I'm talking about it. That will not absolve him of his Tuesday Chainsaw Man fact, but it does mean I'm in too deep. I will not give any Chainsaw Man spoilers because it's new and people have not had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, same. I've only watched 2 episodes and they were very good, so I definitely would like to avoid spoilers because I mean, the paying attention that I do to, like, the new anime seasons online, it seemed like people were pretty hype about Chainsaw Man, and I'd never heard of it before. Other than, like, other people describing it when they were talking about hype for the anime.
Sure.
And yeah, those first 2 episodes were very good.
Solid as fuck.
Puchita was extremely adorable, like, right away.
Yeah, they're gonna make 1 million Puchita plushes just
oh my
everywhere.
God, yeah. Like, I remember I saw some Puchita plushies, you know, on Twitter or whatever before I watched the show. And people seemed, like, pretty excited about it, but I kind of scrolled past pretty quickly. But then once I saw him in action in the show, then, like, I was immediately like, oh my God, I want a Puchita plushie.
Yeah, I kind of want one, but I need to know how this show ends before I purchase any merchandise from it. Like, I think you can understand why I have my reservations about it, just based on the first 2 episodes and some of the themes we're exploring here. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna need some context.
Yeah, it's definitely fair to withhold merchandise purchases until the finishing of any show.
I think so. Especially, like, I'm in the neighborhood of I want to start getting some anime tattoos, and I'm like, I should probably only get tattoos for animes that have actually finished. Um,
Yeah.
Cause like I'd love to
Are
get
you
a
there?
Haikyuu tattoo. I fucking love that
Mm.
anime. Have I watched the movies and the final season that hasn't come out yet? No, I haven't yet. So I should hold off on that probably.
Yeah, you might get heat from Haikyuu fans if you got the Haikyuu tattoos, but you haven't seen all the Haikyuu content.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
I know
like.
sometimes those movies are just recaps, but you never
Yeah.
know.
Haikyuu doesn't strike me as one where it would do anything like Game of Thrones and have a really shit ending, but like I guess it could, and then I could be like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't get that tattoo.
Yeah, I don't have, or I only have 4 tattoos. None of them are pop culture related, but pop culture related tattoos hath definitely crossed my brain when I was like brainstorming the tattoos I did want to get.
I have 5 tattoos right now, and I need to get
Oh,
more.
how fitting.
Yeah, my 5th one was to get a candy with the number 5 on my hand, so that nobody would have any excuse to forget my name because it would be right there in front of them. And it's in every video now, so anytime I'm
Yeah.
painting, it's like, yep, that's me. No one can really deny that. Which is fun for me. I quite like that. My friend
Yeah, it's a good tattoo.
said that's the most on brand tattoo I've ever seen, and I'm like, yeah, it really fucking is.
Yeah, your branding's hella strong.
Thank you. It's really just
So
who I am as a
strong, it like.
person.
Let's say your branding is so strong it like breaks out of the shell of being just internet, and it's like IRL branding as well.
Yeah. I mean, people are like,
Although,
how do you come up with these ideas? And I'm like, it is literally just me thinking about shit. Like, there's no process to go through there beyond divine inspiration. I literally am just always thinking about how to make something look like a food. It's just how I am. It's a
the
curse.
hobby world needs people like you.
I don't know about that, but it's certainly getting me whether it wants me or not.
Yeah, that's the spirit. Uh, Ethan in my chat said that I should make a JoJo Gundam.
You should
Build
make a
burning
joke.
as Dio. Sign me up.
Yes,
Oh, and
absolutely.
Ethan said that the Chainsaw manga is fucking fire.
Yeah, I want to read it, but I'm not smart enough to know where to find it, um, and not have to purchase all of the volumes because I can't afford to buy like 20 volumes of a manga. Probably more than that. Okay, I can't do it. I would love to read them. I don't know how to do that online. Um, so yeah. Uh,
Fair.
that's the barrier to entry for me reading them. And I think at this point, for Chainsaw Man anyway, I'm probably gonna just like watch it as a show, and try not to have it spoiled because it's pretty fire. And from what I understand from TikTok, it's been sticking to the manga pretty closely. Um, Not that TikTok is an infallible resource, but they people seem happy.
Yeah, Ethan was, or Nathaniel, I had to approve one of his messages about Chainsaw Man just because of the language. Okay, yeah, no, there was an F-bomb in there, but it's okay. Me and Fiverr have been swearing.
I swear a lot, so yeah, sorry if anyone's. Actually, I'm not sorry if anyone's offended.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use the language I want to use on my own channel, which is not in any way monetized, so, because YouTube's like, not enough people have watched your channel for enough hours. You can't
Come on,
have, you
YouTube.
can't have money.
Don't be like that. Yeah, that reminded me of something else. I'm getting distracted by my palette again.
It's okay. Nathaniel commented quite a while ago to say, "Oh yeah, the pizza Gushin," and I'm like, "Yep, that's the boy. He's getting painted. I want to paint his underframe like a really bold red as well, but I don't know if I'm gonna do that or if I'm gonna be too lazy and decide not to do that. So we're gonna see."
It really depends. Are you? I'm guessing you're probably not gonna do the like full Gunpla builder thing and like fully disassemble it and
He's
paint
kind of
it.
in two parts. He's like a torso part and a leg part, and that's where we're gonna be for today. I basically put on a
Okay.
brown coat for the parts that are gonna be pizza, and then I'm putting on a yellow coat over top of that that basically covers most of it, but leaves just a little bit of the brown to act as the pizza crust, and then the yellow part's gonna be the cheese. And then we're gonna add some toppings eventually. Probably mostly pepperoni, since that's pretty recognizable. But that's where we're at with that.
Nice. Oh, congratulate Cryos in my chat. They just bought their first Gundam, apparently.
Oh hell yeah!
Good job, Cryos.
What Gundam did you buy?
It was the entry grade RX-78. I think that's the one I sent you when I sent back the Gloomspite Gits model.
Ah yes, I still haven't built that one. I don't know why. I could literally just knock that out because it doesn't look very complicated. But
It's like the most Gundam-y Gundam ever. It's like the Luke Skywalker of Gundam.
he does look very basic, but like not in a bad way. Just as in like, yeah, it makes sense that most people paint a Space Marine as their first Warhammer 40k miniature.
Yeah, yeah, literally, yeah. It's like the Space Marine equivalent thing you could say almost.
Like when Rahul Kohli, the actor, started painting Warhammer miniatures, I
Oh
was
yeah,
like, I so want you to pick something more interesting. I know you're
right?
gonna pick Space Marines. And what did this guy do? He picked Space Marines. I'm like, yep, that
Yeah,
tracks. It's really fun to see though, like people send him stuff and he's really psyched about it, and like you can
yeah,
tell he's been watching all the YouTube channels because he like posted about his hobby zone setup that he's bought. He's assembling all the
yeah,
little tables and stuff.
yeah. I saw that on Twitter. When I first saw it, he came up because he was tweeting about being in Vancouver. He was like, "Will someone here?" He just like tweeted out, be like, "Yo, I'm in Vancouver. Can someone here like teach me 40K?" And then the people from Play on Tabletop, the like YouTube channel that does battle reports, ended up
Hmm.
replying to him, and they like met up and posted pictures and stuff. And that was how I found out that Play on Tabletop was Canadian, which was a fun fact. Like I've been to Vancouver many times. Maybe one day I'll get to be on Play on Tabletop.
That'd be
They
cool.
play a decent amount of Conquest on there now, so
Liam, can I tell you that you know how I have this problem where I have a million Tau that I should be painting, right? Like,
yes.
yeah. And I've specifically told my chat not to let me buy an entire army again. Like, that was a
Oh
bad idea.
shit.
The fact that Games Workshop announced that they're going to have a Knight Battle Force box for Christmas, like,
Oh yeah, I saw
I
that.
want it so bad, it's disgusting. Like, I have not finished. I've started, but I'm nowhere near finished the Knight that I got that Roz was kind enough to give me at Gen Con, which was like one of the best, coolest things that have ever happened to me in my entire life. And I was
That's
like,
pretty
okay,
cash
cool.
money.
I'll just paint one Knight, and then I'll have one Knight. It's a model I've always wanted. Like, that's fine. They're super expensive. There's no reason for me to ever need another Knight. But like the reality that a semi for Games Workshop anyway, a semi affordable Knight army could literally be there because there's like 1,050 points in the battle box alone, and then I'd be adding another Knight to it. Like I would have a Knight
Yeah.
army. I could have a Knight army.
And what would be four models? Because you have one knight already?
I have so in the Battle Force box, there's a big Knight, and I have the same big Knight. So I'd have two big Knights and four little Knights. I think there's four armigers in the box.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are those the Armiger Warglaves? I'm trying to remember them all. I stay pretty up to date with the GW releases, but I don't actually play 40K, so.
That's the thing. Like I don't play 40k because I haven't found a good 40k scene to play with. But like one of my friends who's really cool is and good at reading rules is into 40k and also doesn't particularly love the 40k scene but has like kill team forces and things. So I could play with them. I could just not play at my local club and just play with individuals. But I don't need another army. I don't need one. I will have these Tau. I have 40k orcs that I haven't played with in forever. But I want it so bad. It's terrible, Liam. It is a plague.
I know that feeling.
It is a plague. I need to be talked out of this, and none of my friends are willing. Well, one of my friends is willing to do it, but he will also be like, "Why the fuck do you need so many Warhammer models, you idiot?" And I'm not ready for that kind of ridicule. He's great, but he will kill me.
I mean, do you want me to help talk you down, or do you want me to encourage you? Because I could go either way.
Could not answer that question. I could not. I know how I'd paint them too. Like, I'm painting this one to be mint chocolate chip ice cream. Like, that's just, it's gonna be the mood. And I could do knights as different ice cream flavors, and it would be so cute and so adorable and so, like, easy to communicate that theme on the scale of a knight. Which I know no one else is going to be able to picture it, but, like, when I look at that knight, I can see it, and it's beautiful, and it's gorgeous. Because there's so much room. Like, even if you're doing strawberry, you can do the little shield on his, like, the front part, and you could paint a strawberry on it, and it would be beautiful, and they just wouldn't be like, oh, it's a knight that's pink. They'd be like, oh, it's a strawberry knight. I'm like, yes, absolutely. But do ice cream knights need to exist in this world? I don't know. I really don't.
I think that would make a fine addition. Quick interruption to that topic, just because Cryos says, does Canadian Jesus here have a Discord server? I don't, but I hang out in Fiverr's Discord server. So you go to their channel and their live stream. Do you have a link to your Discord at your live stream?
I'll post one. I'm posting one right now. Boop, boop, boop.
Cool. And Cryos also asked if gunpla kits are expensive in Canada, and they're like like almost everything in Canada, it's slightly more expensive than in America, so that's what I would say for gunpla as well.
Persephone posted, don't buy a robot, don't buy a robot, don't buy a robot, buy a robot, don't buy a robot.
Oh, shit.
That did not help at all, but thank you for posting that. I appreciate it.
I guess to advocate to not buy it, I'd be like, in principle, it's like, oh, that's amazing. I can buy one box and I have like a full like knight army that, I could like bring to a 40k knight or whatever, and it's only 4 models that I gotta paint. But then you think like, yeah, but those 4 models you gotta paint are like very intense models to paint with plenty of like mechanical detail with pistons and trim on armor and possibly some filigree, because this is like Imperium machinery, so they like to add a bunch of really unnecessary flair, and also they're knights, so they need like heraldry, or
yes,
I
but
guess
like,
in your case the heraldry is the chocolate chips.
You get to name them dumbass things too. Like, they all have like racehorse names, And like, I've been thinking about what I could name them, because I came up with the perfect name for my first knight. His name is Just Desserts. Like, that's perfect. It's great.
God, that's perfect.
But then you could have Best Served Cold, like, as another knight, because revenge is a dish best served cold, and if they're ice cream knights, that works so well. Those are the 2 that I'm proudest of. But like, thinking of that kind of shit is fun. I could design little pilots for them. I'd have a great time. I just, it'd be fun. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I need to buy myself something for Christmas, but I feel like I could buy myself something more practical than a box full of knights.
I mean, a knight is perhaps the most comparable 40k model you could make to gunpla. The knight is like a big mech mobile suit, and when you compare the prices of that to like what you would get in a gunpla kit that's less than half the price, then that might convince you away from it.
That's
also
true.
Like, I guess if you didn't already have a 40k army, if you're like, you had a bit of stuff for kill team, but you hadn't like gone into 40k yet, I would say, like, yeah, go for it. But is the Tau your only 40k army? Do you have other ones as well?
No, I have 500 some points of AdMech. I've probably
Oh,
got
nice.
at least I'm willing to speculate that I have between 1,750 and 2,000 points of 40k orcs, depending on like where their point values are
Okay,
at, because I
right.
haven't checked.
Yeah, your orcs.
Tau, I'm pretty sure I have a full 2,000 points of. I just need to actually paint them. So yeah, that would mean I have the knights would be my fourth 40k army if I pick them up. In addition to the fact that I have Night Haunt, Soulblight Gravelords, Cruel Boys, and Gloomspite kits for...
Wow, are you a Warhammer player or something?
I don't really play half as much as I paint. And, like, that's the thing. Because people will be like, you buy a lot of Warhammer, and that's fair. But of those, I have all of the 40k orcs painted. The Gloomspite kits I don't super count because, again, that was the collaborative project. So, like, yeah, they're painted, but are they all mine? You know, like, sure. The AdMech are all painted, and I actually sold the models that I didn't want anymore because I chose a really complex color scheme that I didn't want to paint anymore.
Oh, yeah.
They're all done. My Cruel Boys are done. My Night Haunt are done. My Soulblight Gravelords are mostly done. I have a couple, like, character models that I would have to paint. But, like, I enjoy painting armies. Which makes
It's a good thing to enjoy.
Yeah, it makes it perfect for Warhammer, but I don't actually play as much as I, like, paint large quantities of minis.
I feel you there.
I've tried doing, like, squads. Like, I have the Warcry spider guys that I have like to paint, and this is the color scheme. They're like really bold colors, and I haven't finished this one. But he looks really great. He looks like he came out of a Creepy Crawler's factory toy, which is fantastic. And then I'm working on a Necromunda crew as well, which are going to be Dunkaroo inspired. I don't know if they have Dunkaroos in Canada, but...
Yeah, I think I saw those on your last stream.
Yeah.
I remember Dunkaroos from when I was a kid. I don't know if they were, like, banned for being too sugary now or not. I know they were banned in some countries, I think.
So, like, I have other projects that I can paint, that I should paint. But I do paint...
a very familiar sentence.
I do paint very quickly. I've painted over 100 miniatures this year alone. I know for a fact.
Pretty impressive.
Because I've been tracking them in my little day planner.
Oh, nice.
And once I actually finish the Tau infantry, I'll be adding another 25 to 30 models to that finished list. Which I don't know if I'll hit 200 this year, but I may well hit 200 finished miniatures.
I will not, so that's very impressive indeed.
And I'm not saying that to, like, flex or anything. It's just genuinely, I'm like, I will eventually want another big painting project. And now that the idea of a knight army kind of exists, I'm like, I don't want to lose out on the sale of them being discounted, you know? Like, if the price of that Battle Force box is decent, that could be saving, like, hundreds of dollars on miniatures.
It's true.
Which is what Games Workshop wants me to think, you know?
That's how good old James Workshop gets you. If you do end up caving and buying the Knights, I'll be sure to look forward to their names. Like, what was it? Served cold?
Best served cold and
best
just
served
desserts are the two that I have right now.
Yeah, that's great already, so...
Yeah, I'm sure I can think of more. And if I can't, I have a chat on my Discord full of very clever people who are always good at coming up with puns. They almost convinced me to repaint my entire Tau army just based on a pun.
Oh, that would have been a mistake, probably.
Yeah, it would have been. But it was Tau Boys, to do them like cowboys.
Oh, right.
And that was a pretty good idea.
That is pretty enticing.
Yeah. Also, Brady's been trying to convince me to paint my Necromunda Ashwaste guys as McDonald's ones, and that's been pretty tempting. Um,
Like a bunch of different McDonald's items, or just like general
just like the
red, yellow
McDonald's,
color?
yeah, colors. I just like my Dunkaroo idea pretty good, so I'm probably gonna stick with that one. I'm starting to
That is a
paint.
pretty good idea.
Yeah, I think it's gonna work out pretty good if I stick with it. So that's what we're gonna do. I finally started painting pepperonis on the shoulder pads, and
Oh,
they look
nice.
dope now. I'm probably gonna add some olives and green peppers too, because it's a pretty large canvas. So I
Are
think
you
I can get.
painting the like are there like raised like round structures that poke up out of the shoulder armor that you're painting like pepperonis, or you're freehanding?
I'm just freehanding some peps on this one, and then it does also have these like weird rectangles sticking up out of it that I'm gonna paint red, not to like look like pepperoni, but just I think they look bad if they're just yellow. So we're gonna
Yeah.
see how that looks. And if I hate it, I'll paint over it or try and make them look like a breadstick or something. I don't know.
So many directions you could go, really.
The people think I'm limiting myself by doing these food color schemes, but I swear putting the limitation on yields so many more ideas.
Yeah. You gotta have something to like focus in on.
I really think it would be fun as well if I had a knight army and like I brought it to Adepticon or something like that and put my knights in the golden demon case just so people would be like, what the fuck is that?
that'd be a massive power move, and I support that.
I don't know that I
And
could cuz like people that miniature painters and things like that are who are I guess I don't know what to call other YouTubers that I've met and have like are friendly. You know, like I've met Brent and stuff like from Goobertown
yeah,
Hobbies, and he's cool. I don't know if we're like friends or colleagues or what. I would say friends, but I don't know what the like correct societal definition of a relationship like that is. Um,
I think you're safe saying that, saying friends.
Friends, yeah. I just don't know what they would think if they saw ice cream knight in front, like probably comparative to the other golden demon painters, a poorly painted ice cream knight amongst literally the best painted figures in the world. um but like last year when I was at Adepticon, there was still a grot circus diorama that somebody entered. There was like a
Yeah.
joke with two space marines that were painted in like a comic book black and white style that had a little speech bubble by them that said 3 color tournament rule. Let's just go enter the golden demon instead. Like there were funny things like that,
That's great.
and I'm like, it's not that. It's an ice cream night, but like maybe it counts. Maybe it would be acceptable. I just don't want to offend anybody, you know. I don't want people to be like, "Wow, the person who entered this is stupid and a butt face," and I'm gonna be like, "No."
The only people that would think that would be butt faces themselves. I think most people would be like, damn, got mad respect for whoever submitted those ice cream nights.
It would be great because most of the time when people put something in the case, they are painting at a very high level, and it's like, oh, which one is your entry? Because they're all so good, I cannot tell. Um, People would be like, "Hey, Fiverr, did I see one of your miniatures in the case?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, yeah, that was me. that that was mine." It's recognizable, I suppose, my painting style.
Yeah, I'd say that. My painting style is only recognizable if it's on Gundam. My like painting style when it comes to minis doesn't stray too far outside the traditional box. But I've been painting mostly Gunpla this year. Perhaps if I, spent a year just painting minis now, there would be more of a style that develops. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know that I have a particular like actual style of applying paint. Like when you do your Model Mayhem style for Gundam, it's like you are working with gradients, you're working with colors in like a certain sort of you tend to do like either contrasting or triangle-y color schemes. I forget the art word for it, but I did go to.
Triad?
Yeah, you do like a triad of colors.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Which works really well for you, but like those are things that are, it's not just like the subject matter is what is the part of your style. It's the actual way that you apply paint and work with gradients, which is cool. But for some artists it's like, yeah, no, the subject matter is what makes them makes it makes people know that it's that artist. You know,
Yeah.
like you've got Degas who did all the ballerinas, and if you see a painting in a gallery of a ballerina, it's like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's this guy. Um, or like people who only take photographs of certain things, or you know, like there is room for that in the art world of just narrowing in on a specific hyper specific focus, and then also other people who are recognizable by their style alone, like Van Gogh, who had a particular way of painting and having his brushstrokes visible. It's all just, art is such a subjective field, and
It
it's
sure is.
crazy how miniature painting goes through like artistic movements rapid fire. It's
It really does.
it's so fun to watch because like slap chop took off, and that's just another art movement in a sense. Like it really is. And like,
Yeah, and it's like a technique that's just someone found a really clever name for it.
right? And now everybody's making videos about it and trying it out for themselves and stuff like that. And that's exactly how stuff moves in the art world as well. It's fascinating to see, like when Goobertown was like, oh yeah, use pink as an undercoat for yellow, and now everybody's just accepted that as almost a canon of the style. Of like, if you're going to paint miniatures yellow, you should do a pink undercoat. Like, that's so funny to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that.
It's cool how much can be learned from other artists, but it's also cool to see how like that just repeats itself. One person will do something, and then everybody will either jump on it or be like, oh, well, you know, if you're painting synthwave night haunt, then that's a Dana Howe style paint job. Like, that's just her style, man. Anyone can paint synthwave, but they associate specifically synthwave night haunt with Dana Howe. It's fascinating to me. I'm not opposed to it in any way. I just love seeing it happen. It's very interesting.
Yeah, people like to attach things to names of recognizable people.
Humans love patterns, man. We're really good at seeing patterns.
Yeah, I'm enjoying being on like I'm on like a break from Model Mayhem style right now, painting these Conquest minis because they're just kind of like a scheme where it's like, well, there's a lot of these, so I need to make efficient, tabletop quality paint schemes. Been working on them and like finishing up my Scorn minis, both for my upcoming video, and it's just been like a little vacation from Model Mayhem style where I'm just painting minis according to schemes I came up with a while ago, but I'm already starting to think of like, what the next, hand-painted Gundam thing is gonna be.
You're telling me when you paint armies, you make choices based on efficiency and not vibes?
I don't always, but sometimes I do.
Must be nice. I think you were there at least for some of my Cruel Boys painting process where I was like, and now I will individually pour resin on the bases of all 200 some odd figures in this army. That was not my smartest choice. Army looks cool though.
I don't remember you doing that, but I remember watching you paint the like big vulture centerpiece model.
Yeah, I streamed
like
a lot of that.
Painting like waffle cone texture on it or something. That seemed pretty tedious.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be waffle cone on these nights. If I do a night army, there's a potential that the entire underframe of some of the nights could be waffle cone.
Just if you were to say, perhaps, on a whim, buy a box of knights or something.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking about that purely theoretically, with no intent to take action at all. Thank you for catching me there, lest some people think I was about to make a very poor financial decision after making other poor financial decisions in the form of Tau. Which, honestly, I'm about to finish, like, almost 30 of, which is pretty damn good. Like, I'm
Of your Fire Warriors?
Yeah, the Fire Warriors and the Pathfinders are gonna be done. Basically, I have to glue, little whipped cream sprays to their heads, which I have made and are ready to go, and then I have to do their bases, and they're done.
So what are you gonna make the whipped cream things with?
So there's like a Japanese trend of making extremely decorative phone cases. I think it's called like decoden.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen some pictures of those.
You can just buy supplies for that. So synthetic whipped cream just exists as a product. And I'm like, if it's durable enough for a phone case, it's probably durable enough for a gaming miniature. And it works great. So I've got tons of those. Little dollops of whipped cream. Basically it comes in like a little tube. And you just squirt it out like you would whipped cream in the real world, and it has a little like piping nozzle that makes it look correct, and then it's just it just looks like what it's supposed to look like.
What a time to be alive.
It's amazing. I wish
you
that
can just get a tiny synthetic whipped cream applicator.
You really can. It's incredible. You can get them in multiple colors too, which is really fun. That's how I've done some of the like candy bases that I have. I'll just get like a pink one and then some fake sprinkles made out of clay. And everybody's like, just use real sprinkles and put like a varnish over them. Like, no, I can just buy clay ones for like $3 that I don't have to worry about degrading over time, Like I don't intend to use real food materials in my miniature hobby. I just don't think that's gonna work.
You're thinking ahead. You're in it for the long haul.
I want someone to inherit this collection when I die and be like, what did this person do and why? Like, I hope that whoever takes over the sort of eBay miniature rescue space in several years when, we're all old-time YouTubers and everybody else is, like, video projecting themselves directly into people's consciousness or whatever we're watching content on at that point in time. I want one of them to end up with my weird Warhammer collection and be like, why the fuck was this done? Look at this person ruining these miniatures with their weird tastes. I'm gonna fix this. And I would love to just, much like those Buddhist monks or whatever who make beautiful works of art out of like salt or sand.
Yeah.
And then it just gets blown away in the wind.
The sand mandalas.
Yeah, that's what I want to have happen to my miniatures when I'm gone. I want someone to look at them, be like, well, that was a choice, and then just start the whole thing over. I think that would be awesome.
See, in my head, I was imagining, like, this TikTok unboxing video in the year 2200 or whatever. They open it and be like, oh, yo, it's the legendary Gloomspite Gitz army from Sugar Candy Miniatures. Crazy.
I feel like I should have figured out what to do with that army. Because it's just in a display case, and it was more about whether that would work as an experiment than any kind of end result with it. I love it. Like, I love that that's an army that I have, but I'm like, I don't know what to actually do with it.
If someone came across, like, a random box just filled with Sugar Candy Miniatures stuff in, like, 150 years, what mini would you want to be in it?
Ooh, okay. What miniature of mine would I want to be in it? My favorite one to date that I've painted is still my, he's from the Mollig's Mad Mob, box. He's like a
Yeah.
troll, but he looks like a cupcake, and his nose is a cherry. And I don't know what it is about that how that paint job turned out, but it's the one that I've been the most satisfied with. So that's one of the ones that
Nice.
I'd want them to find. I'd love if there was one of my Zotes in there because I just
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you just like buy two of the Blood Bowls though, or do you have the Blackstone Fortress
I
Zote
have
and the Blood Bowl one?
I have the Blackstone Fortress Zote and the Blood Bowl Zote, and I hope that they make
Nice.
more Zotes. I want many more
Really
Zotes.
need more than two.
You do. You can't have a whole army with just two Zotes. I think it's become a meme that anytime it's like, ooh, Warhammer Fest is coming up, ooh, Warhammer Day is coming up, ooh, Games Workshop's gonna reveal something new, what it's gonna be. Every time I'm just like, Zotes. It's gonna be Zotes.
It really needs to be Zotes, to be honest. Like, the next Age of Sigmar faction they release should be the Zote faction. Like,
Give me
come
some
on.
Zotes. I love that. Then you just stop. Like, as much as I love new factions coming out, and I think it's really fun, and I like seeing that, and I like seeing what people come up with, they cannot balance the amount of factions that are in Age of Sigmar and 40k at the moment. They need to stop making new factions.
Yeah, at a certain point it'll run into like the same issue War Machine and Hordes was having, where there's just like so many different models in the game that like do different things. When it came to actually playing the game, like it was like hard for new people to get into it just because there's like so much stuff to pick up on and like so many rules gotchas. And I know rules gotchas and stuff can easily happen in Age of Sigmar as well. You know, if you go up against a pro level player and they just have like they've like figured out the most big brain like combination of tactics that was like perfectly optimized for their army.
Kind of like when I went up against a very lovely gentleman who was the first person that I played against in the Adepticon tournament, and
Oh, yeah.
he ended up finishing second or third overall. Um, he had been playing Warhammer for years and
Yeah.
had just perfectly optimized his Osriarch Bone Reaper army, which I was unaware of but was meta at the time. Completely destroyed my nice little my band of cruel boys, which was fine. You know, I wasn't expecting to really
Yeah.
do particularly
I've
well,
been-
but I wanted to play. So yeah, that I've had that experience before.
Yeah, me too. I've had that experience mostly with like War Machine, but yeah, like there's a difference between getting stomped in a game by like a gentle person or getting stomped by like someone that's there to win
Yeah.
at all costs.
He was very serious about winning and playing, but he was very kind and was like, "Oh no, yeah," and didn't mind that my turns were taking longer because he already like pretty much I feel like he knew he was gonna win when he realized that I was a very new player, but was never mean about it, never rude about it, and fully
That's what you
wanted
like
to
to
like
see.
play out the game, let me take my time with my turns. He was very great.
Well, I'm glad you had a good opponent there.
Yeah, everybody that I played against was pretty good for the most part at Adepticon. There was one guy who just randomly was like, "I'll be right back," and left to use the bathroom for like 15 minutes. So that was a little annoying, but other than that,
Yeah.
you know, nothing too annoying.
Yeah, when I played in the only like miniature gaming tournaments I really played in much were War Machine and Hordes ones, and on that you have to play on a chess clock. So if you go to use and like if you're playing in a tournament, you're not supposed to like pause the clocks for that. But I guess it depends on your opponent whether they'll let you pause the clock
Yeah,
if you need
no
to
one was
go.
no one could pause the clock. Like that wasn't an option. They were like, "You have 3 hours to play your game. Go." Um,
Yeah,
and he went during his turn, which was fine, but also like, you know, I could have like I'm not a cheater at games, but I definitely could have enhanced my rolls if I had wanted to. Let's just say that, okay?
yeah,
Not everybody was, you know, like I don't know. It was weird, but it wasn't terrible. Anyway, the thing of it is, like with Warhammer, they release a new edition before anything else happens, and it's like people are still on their codexes from last edition. They still haven't
Yeah.
given an updated Gloomspite Gits codex. So like, if you're trying to play, what are we up to 5th edition in Age of Sigmar? I think trying to play 5th edition Age of Sigmar with your Gloomspite Gits, you can't. It's like they're still stuck in the past with no announcement of when that codex might come out.
Yeah, Games Workshop's bad for that. That's like the opposite or like one like Privateer Press with War Machine and Hordes had the problem of like there's too many models. There's like a bloat of different things that you have to learn about. Like Warhammer doesn't release as many like individual like unique things as much, but they'll like release those books so frequently you just have to keep buying them, and they just give updates to like existing models, or they'll release models that are like updated sculpts. But it's like neither solution was particularly good. But yeah, it's super annoying when you buy like your army codex book if you're like starting in the hobby per se. You're like, oh cool, I'm gonna pick Kadron overlords because I like the steampunk dwarves or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You save up and buy some models, and you build, paint those. That was cool. You save up some more, buy the army book so you can actually start playing, and then like, well, 4 or 5 months later, there's like a new book out.
That happened to
Like
me
new
with my
rules you gotta
40k
learn.
orcs, and I got so pissed. I was like, what the fuck do you mean a new edition's coming out? This isn't, like, it's not a video game. You don't get Warhammer 2. Like, just give me the Warhammer. I barely learned that edition, so I was really pissed about that. Yeah, that's funny. It's good.
That's the Warhammer business model.
It was not a good time for me. But like, I don't play like 40k at all, and I need to change that because I genuinely like sci-fi. A lot of people are like, I like Age of Sigmar because I just like fantasy better than sci-fi. I like both.
They are both good.
I don't understand how and why there's such a divide between communities where like I've found a lot of people in the Age of Sigmar community are a lot more welcoming and friendly than folks in the 40k community. And don't even get me started on how welcoming the Blood Bowl community is. That far and away, like probably just because it's not as competitive as a scene, but that's been the friendliest bunch of people that I've met in the Warhammer hobby. They're so nice.
Yeah, it sounds like the Blood Bowl seems pretty wholesome. For what I've there's like a pretty solid Blood Bowl community in the city I live in too, which I haven't gotten into because there's too many games I want to play and not enough time. But yeah, the Blood Bowl community kept the game alive basically
It
all
really did.
themselves for all those years until Games Workshop re-released it.
They're really proud of like the fact that new people want to play Blood Bowl as well. Like I don't think my coach has ever been happier than when I was like, yeah, like if you're gonna keep this a queer inclusive space, I can get you new players. Like he didn't give a shit what anybody's pronouns or name was or anything like that. He was just like, you can get people to show up for Blood Bowl. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I can do that, man.
Yeah, and then you did.
And then I did, and then I made it very queer. So we have a lovely inclusive space for Blood Bowl, which I'm quite proud of. Our league is fantastic, and I rarely miss a Blood Bowl night.
Yeah, I miss having the like regular gaming nights to go to. The last time I did that was with like the War Machine and Hordes group, and that was in 2019. So that was like before it kind of it's like going through its like awkward change of edition, like awkward phase right now. No one's really playing it, but I did like connect with some of the local groups that play Conquest Last Argument of Kings. I just like all I've really had time for is just like occasionally just meeting up with friends to game with friends that
Sure.
I mostly played Kill Team with in 2019. And we might meet up this week for the first time in a while, and I think we're gonna try like one-page rules because they have like their equivalent of Kill Team, so we can just like use our 40k models for that because none of us have like stayed up to date to the changes and like the new Blood Bowl rules. And the Blood Bowl we played in 2019 was all right, but the rules were a little like clunky and 40k if you know what I mean.
Sure. I think that's inevitable with any Games Workshop product, is that the rules are definitely, they got some clunk to them. Um,
Yeah, clunk,
Streamlined and
exactly.
easy to understand is not the Games Workshop way.
So, and like, I can never, or like, I don't. I guess I have my Space Marine army that is like a 40k army, but other than that, I don't like collect enough 40k models to have a full army. But I do have like multiple kill teams. Like I have an Adeptus Mechanicus kill team and a Drukari kill team. Suppose I could make a Space Marine one if I wanted to, and it's satisfying. You get like it's not as satisfying as finishing an entire army, but you finish like your whole kill team force, and that's like a nice contained unit. And you can move on to something else if you want. You don't run into the same problem of like, oh, I gotta paint 30 like troopers and then like some matching vehicles, and there's just so much.
God, I hate painting vehicles. I don't like it. If it's not like a character, like a knight, I don't really consider a vehicle. I don't know. It's got like a face. If it's got a face, then it's not a vehicle.
Yeah, that's a mech.
Yeah, that's a mech. That's different. But like, I hate painting tanks. I hate painting like cars. I like the orcs that go in the cars, but I hate painting the
Yeah.
cars themselves. It's just dumb and it takes forever and it's the worst. I just hate it. Hate it.
And you don't have an airbrush, right?
No, I don't. Well, I do have an airbrush, but I don't use it because
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that it takes so much cleaning.
Yeah, it
And
does
stuff
take
like
a lot
that.
of cleaning.
This is starting
Yeah,
to
and if
look very pizza, this Gundam, so I'm happy with it.
oh, awesome.
Put pepperonis all over him.
Yeah, if you
Barely
don't,
Tamed says, the little guy you're painting totally looks like a poison frog piloting a mech. Not sure if that's what you're going for, but love the image. This is, he does have a lot of frog to him, to be fair. This is
yeah, it's
a
pretty froggy.
pizza Gundam, and right now he just has pepperonis, so they do just kind of look like polka dots. But we're going to be adding some olives. We're going to be adding some green peppers. We're going to be adding cheese drips so that it looks more like cheese and less just like yellow. But this is where we're at right now. He's coming along. He's coming along. Even
Yeah,
though
if you don't like
poison
using
dart
an
frogs
airbrush, then
would be a pretty good thing. Yeah, without an airbrush, vehicles are fucking trash to paint.
yeah. I haven't painted that many vehicles in my life. I mean, yeah, I've painted lots of mechanical things, but they're all, robots, mechs.
I love a robot. I love a mech. I sold, like, I had one of the start collecting AdMech boxes because I thought I was gonna make an AdMech army, and then I painted checkers as their main color. Like, their cloaks are checkerboard pattern. I use checkers like it is a color and not a pattern that I had to replicate, which was a dumbass decision. But they were like one of the first color schemes I'd come up with, and I was just like, oh yeah, this will be fine. I'll do this. Fuck that shit. Never again.
Yeah,
But
that's not a great, army color scheme.
no, it was a terrible idea, and people tried to tell me it was a terrible idea, and I didn't listen to them. Because they looked cool, which they do. I mean, they look awesome, but I'd never want to paint. Like, there was a tank in that box. That was the thing. There was a tank, and I was like, I will have to paint checkers all over this tank, and I don't even want to paint the tank. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sell anything that's unpainted for this army, and move on to the next project, which is what I did.
Yeah, and then you just use those funds to get other models.
I 100% did. I believe I used those funds as part of the Tau army that I then purchased from Billion Dollar Clown Farm.
There you go.
Waste not, want not. Or maybe I used them for Cruel Boys. I can't remember. They definitely funded another army.
I'm glad we're talking about just, collecting armies a lot in general, because Blue Parappa I've gotten her on the army collecting
Ooh, which one's she
train,
chosen?
kind of. not with Warhammer, but a while ago, got her. I like gave her a list of games that we could play because she watched one Mandalore gaming video,
Mm.
which was a review of Total War Warhammer the video game,
Mm-hmm.
and then she was like, "Oh, I get the appeal of the Warhammer fantasy setting now. I get like why it's good," and or she like started to get the appeal of like Warhammer as a tabletop miniatures games, and so I obviously got very excited about that. I'm like, "What? You're expressing interest in war games, you say?" Um, and then I like kind of laid out all the different games we could play and like showed her the various aesthetics to choose from. And the one she was the most jazzed about was Crix, which is a faction from War Machine. But
I'm not familiar with that one.
They're pretty cool. They're like undead, evil, like mechanical steampunk. And there's some pirate thrown in there.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, there should be a bit about it in my video. We actually have a plushie of like one of the small Warjack models. This company was having a sale. I'll just like show the people on my stream here. This is the Death Ripper plushie. I'll
You better send me a photo.
I'll make an appearance in my next video.
Okay, I want to see that.
It's very cute.
I bought a
where was I going with this?
BattleTech mini plushie. Like I bought a plush of the
really?
Irby at I got it at Gen Con. I was under the mistaken idea, which people talked me out of. They very quickly corrected me. But they have this giant inflatable like Irby parade float balloon kind of thing that they put outside the convention center, and I thought that Irby was the mascot of Gen Con, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. He's just a little robot, and he's here, he's a balloon, and he's welcoming everybody, and I liked him a lot. And people then told me, no, that's actually a BattleTech guy, and you can get a miniature of him. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And then I went over there, and they also had plushies of him. And I didn't need to buy a $40 plushie. But I wanted one, and then Vince Venturella complimented me on my Irby plushie, and I feel like that validated my decision making a lot in that moment.
It's not that often when a miniatures games company also has a plushie version of their miniature.
Yeah, I've never played BattleTech. No real intention to, I don't think. But I love the Irby now. Mostly because it's called an Irby and I have a plush of it. Sometimes Achilles, my cat, will attack him, and it's very cute. But you were saying about the Death Rattle plushie, and sorry, I interrupted your story. I don't know where you were going.
So cool. Yeah, so Blue Parappa's Crix are actually got her into this Facebook group for people who are like selling and trading their like War Machine models, because ever since they announced Mark IV was coming in the summer, there's been like a large influx of people trying to like either pick up models to round off their collection before you like can't buy them anymore, or like sell their armies because like they're done with War Machine. So I helped her order or like pick up a decent like used lot of Crix, plus like picked some up from the local game store. This was like a while ago in the summer. I picked some up when they were like having a sale. So she's got like a solid collection of miniatures now and armies she can call her own, and today we went to the hobby store, got her some of her own paints and brushes. But she's of course got plenty of mine she can borrow still as well. But I was like, well, if it's your army, you need to have some of your own paints, you know?
I hope she has a good time painting them. I love whenever she's featured in your video. You should suggest to her that she should do... I'm sure she already has a color scheme picked out, but if she doesn't... I think you've said that she collects Monster High dolls. She should do a Monster High inspired color scheme at some point. I think that would be very fun.
Oh, nice. Yeah, she's got a solid collection of Monster High and Ever After I dolls that are, like, in the cabinet with the Gunpla.
I like that they coexist, you know? You were,
Yeah.
because in your video you were like, and these are my partner's Monster High dolls because she deserves to have her things displayed too. And I was like, hell yeah, that is true. That is accurate. I like that they're given the same amount of like the Gundams and the Monster High dolls both are in equal esteem in this house.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten them into the Gundams as well, so the Gundams far outnumber the dolls. But yeah, I mean, they're pretty decent quality dolls from what I know. I don't really know anything about
I don't know
dolls, so
shit about dolls either, but I just like I watched a deep dive into Monster High at one point just because I was very bored and someone was like, this YouTuber makes video essays, watch some, and I was like, okay. So that's the only thing I know it from, but like I still think it's funny or cool or interesting.
Sex bot has shown up in my chat.
Oh, well, the sex bot was in mine like twice, so now it's your turn. Have fun banning and reporting.
Report. It's been a few streams since they've shown up.
Yeah, they gave us. I mean, to be fair, we were talking about Hot D, so you know.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon.
Good point.
House of the Dragon.
Yeah, it was a very fun, wholesome hobby date we had today, going to the local game store for paints and stuff.
That's so cool.
But they've got, I won't reveal what their color scheme is yet, but it's one that I'm sure you would respect. And
I can't wait. I'll be looking forward to that video.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's going to be a video, but, you know, it'll probably be, like, whenever she ends up painting some of them, or whenever, like, get to a point where, like, there's a battle group finished to show off, I'll, like, find a way to sneak it into the script of whatever I'm working on, or definitely post it.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing them then in whatever form they arrive in.
Yeah, I mostly just don't want to, like, add any kind of like deadline to it for her because I want the process to be enjoyable. I'm like I want you to stay in this hobby and not resent it. I feel like immediately adding it's like yeah your first army it's gonna have to be featured in a YouTube video because I'm a YouTuber and I gotta milk my life.
Everything is content. Yeah.
Part of me is like I'll just let her go at whatever pace she wants to.
Yeah, I felt a little bit bad about, like, when my friends were painting their first miniatures, being like, hey, can I film this for YouTube? But they were very into it, so I was quite pleased about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a bit different. That was just, like, you're filming for the purpose of, like, capturing their first, Warhammer exposure moment or whatever.
It was great. I look back on that for myself quite fondly.
Yeah.
I always want to have people around to talk to about Warhammer. And, like, if people aren't interested, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna force anyone to be interested. When someone is either humoring me to let me talk about how weird Warhammer is, or, even better, is genuinely interested, it's just a really good day for me.
I feel ya.
Like, I feel like Warhammer has such a JoJo complex to it, where everything that happens has to be the most bombastic thing that's ever happened. Like, basically, if a space marine has to do something to save a planet, it's gotta be, like, the most out of this world fucking crazy nonsense. Which is just fun. It's just fun and stupid. And I really like that about Warhammer.
Yeah, Warhammer definitely adds some JoJo energy to it, can't deny.
It does. I think if they just hired different artists, we could have ended up with JoJo Warhammer instead of the Warhammer of today. Like if they just got your boy, I don't know who the JoJo artist is, but I'm just gonna generically refer to them as your boy. But if they got your boy, the JoJo artist, to design some Space Marines, I think that it would be great. You know, because JoJo is still like a male power fantasy in some way, with everybody being super buff all the time. Just in a different direction than Warhammer's headed.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's just a little bit different there. But like you got similar elements. You got the fact that JoJo never really loses. You've got like all the weird powers. You've got the bright primary color schemes. There's more crossover there than some people would want to admit.
Did you
Feels
ever play Magic the Gathering? Speaking of crossovers.
I have played a few games of Magic the Gathering. I don't really like it because I'm not really a card person. I just don't get as
Yeah.
much out of collecting cards as I do miniatures. Um and a lot of decks are
Yeah.
just built to be like I can't lose but you can't win kind of decks and I'm like that seems to defeat the purpose of a game. Um so I can't say that I've liked Magic the Gathering, but you know,
I mean,
I've
Magic
played
can
it.
vary wildly depending on what format you're playing. I used to play a lot of it, but then I like transitioned to being like more all about the miniatures. But there are some uh, Magic the Gathering Commander decks coming out now that are all 40k Magic the Gathering decks. So they like translated stuff like Necron reanimation and like chaos mutation into like Magic the Gathering mechanics, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
And the like Space Marine, the like Space Marine Imperial deck, I think is like blue-white token based, which makes sense.
Yes, I, a person who understand Magic, know what a blue-white token-based deck is. Untap, upkeep, draw, I think is another Magic thing. You can have a I don't know, I think a mill deck is a thing where you just try and make your opponent run out of cards.
Yeah, that's Mill.
Uh,
Oh,
that's all the kinds of decks that I know.
Otaku Builder just gave a $10 super chat. Thank you. He said, "I'm just gonna leave this here. Have a good night, you two. Awesome live stream as always." And then he needs to get back to work.
Well,
Thanks, Otaku Builder.
thank you, Otaku Builder. That's way. Our stream, the fact that you are using it to distract you from the work that you need to do is exactly what stream should be used for. So, much appreciation on my end.
Yeah, are you familiar with Otaku Builder? He's
I'm
a
not.
YouTuber, or like he's a modeler that has a YouTube channel. He's like does really intense LED work.
Oh, that's cool. I
Like he
tried to
did.
put an LED inside of one of my Tau and I succeeded, but I also injured myself in the process.
Oh no.
Minor injury.
Yeah.
I stabbed a freaking pin vise into my finger. It's fine, but mad respect
I've
for
done that before. Yeah, I know that pain.
mad respect for you being willing to just freaking use LEDs and have it work. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he did a video this summer that was like a model of the Starship Enterprise, and the amount of different like kinds of LEDs he put into that thing was nuts. And then I think the most recent video he did was actually a cool like third party. It was like Gunpla Optimus Prime, but it wasn't made by Bandai, so it's technically not Gunpla. It was just like a very nicely detailed, well posable model of Optimus Prime, but like it was a model that had to be clipped out of parts on runners. It wasn't like a transformer.
So an Optimus Prime.
Yeah, I guess you could say so.
That's pretty cool. I'll have to check out that channel. If you could send me a message reminding me to do that, that would be cool.
I'll
'Cause I
just
might forget.
I'll open a tab of like his channel now, and then after the stream I'll remember to put it in
Cool, yeah.
your Discord.
Again, Liam doesn't have a Discord, but if you've ever wanted to see Liam occasionally respond to posts about movies that he's tagged in, you can visit my Discord, where he sometimes hangs out.
It's true. I'm kind of like, I'm too much of a lurker to run my own Discord server, I guess, so I just lurk in Fivers and occasionally post a model or a meme.
I have a
Or
chronic
something.
internet addiction, so I am always on my Discord server. It's a problem, but it's fine.
Well, you run a good Discord server.
I like to think so. Every now and again, we get up to nonsense, and suddenly there will be like 40 messages that I have to sort through, but usually it's pretty fun. Especially if I'm like
Android?
reading a book that everybody's read but I haven't, or watching a movie or something like that. Like when I was reading Mistborn for the first time, I was posting my reactions, and everybody there had already read it, so they were having a great time.
Yeah, I remember recently I witnessed a pretty funny interaction of someone I think posted like a D&D character model, or it might have been a drawing, I can't remember. And then someone else reacted with like, I roll sleight of hand to try and steal from them. And it turned into this like long RP session.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Everybody's very nice and often pretty goofy there, so we have a good time. And then I'll just post about some shit that nobody's heard of. Like, I'll be like, man, I'm about to shoot off some Care Bears lore or some shit like that nobody's gonna care about. Or I'll continue trying to get people to watch the animes that I'm watching when nobody is interested. That's my favorite thing to do. One day, one day someone's gonna be like, I watched Vampire Hunter D and it slapped, and I'm gonna be like, thank you.
Yeah, that Care Bear lore dump you did on your stream the other day was pretty good.
I think I'm actually gonna have to make that Care Bear video at some point.
I'm
Like,
glad I was there for the genesis of that idea.
I realized how good of an idea that could actually be, and the fact that I have that bear guy Gundam that I can just sort of be like, yeah, I'm gonna paint this bear. We're gonna see what takes longer, building and painting this bear guy Gundam, or telling you about literally every episode of the Care Bears. Or just like the cool parts, the weird, creepy kind of shit that I expected somebody else to have already made a video on, but they hadn't. So looks like I gotta fucking do that. Apparently,
I just remember the other thing that it was talked about on that stream a lot, which was Hamtaro.
Yes, Hamtaro, Ham Heartbreak, the video game, the first video game that I ever beat.
And I remember like that game being pretty like popular when I was a kid.
Yeah, cause it slaps.
So,
Like I'd play that now if I had
Hidden
the console and it could run it. Cause I think I don't know if it was like a Game Boy game or a Game Boy Advance or the
probably
first.
Game Boy Advance.
It might have been the first Nintendo DS. I think was the one before like the 3DS and the DS Lite or something like that. I don't know exactly what system it was for, but if you handed me that system and Ham Heartbreak and were like, here's 6 hours, I'd be like, excellent, that's my day planned.
Nice. That's like me with Total War Warhammer.
I still have never played that, and I gotta be honest, I don't know why, but I have zero desire to. Like, they put Zotes in the game, and even that wasn't enough to get me to want to play it.
It's a very specific kind of game, so that's understandable.
Did I tell you that I bought the video game Control today?
No, but I saw you posting about it on Instagram.
Yeah, I finally bought it because, I'd wanted to buy it ever since seeing it featured in a Jacob Geller video, and I kept telling myself, I need to finish the video games that I already own. I need to finish Resident Evil Village because I need to do that, but for completely unrelated reasons, I associate it with some other stuff, and it's just been impossible for me to pick back up and, like, disassociate from that to be able to play it. So I was like, I'm gonna play Control eventually. And then, since they're bringing back the Magnus Archives, they were talking about their inspirations for Magnus Archives 2. And they mentioned Control as one of them, and I'm like, alright, that's it. That seals the deal. I'm buying this game. I gotta figure it out. So I played it for like 4 hours today. I'm very much enjoying it.
Is that like a horror game?
I think it's supposed to be. It hasn't been as like in your face kind of horror as something like Resident Evil or Silent Hill would be, but it's definitely got horror elements to it. So I'm kind of waiting to see if I consider it horror at the end of it.
Or
Um,
which Jacob Geller video does he talk about it in? Because
it
I've
he
watched a
he
decent amount of Jake Geller since you've introduced me to his channel.
It is in the haunted house video, so I guess he would definitely
Okay.
define it as a horror
Yeah.
game. Yeah, that's probably fair now that I think about it. But it's
I
the
have
one
watched
he
that
talks
video.
about with the person going into the oldest house. That's
Oh,
the video
right.
game he talks about in that I haven't played. So I guess I know like a thing or two about it from his video. That it doesn't spoil much of it,
Yeah.
except I already knew that going into the building that it was gonna get fucky. You know, I knew it wasn't gonna be like just a regular building, but that really hasn't spoiled like jack shit of the actual game, which is fantastic. I can still enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that kind of spooky stuff.
You would probably like Control then, and I expected it to still be like $60 or whatever on PlayStation because nothing ever discounts their price there, but it was only like
Yeah.
$30, and I was like, oh, that's fine. I can spend that today.
Or I guess I like most of my exposure with stuff like that is just like with movies, so just like stories like that in general that involves that kind of like trippy cosmic stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of like what thinking about the vibe of that video game kind of made me think of what was it? Not I thought they had movie Annihilation for a sec, but that's not it. Oh yeah, Everything Everywhere All at Once, kind
Ooh,
of.
yeah. Yeah, it's definitely got a
Have you
little
seen
bit of
that?
that vibe. I loved Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
I cried a lot watching the ending of Everything Everywhere All at Once because that is something that will never happen with my family, and that was
Yeah.
like hitting me in my heart pretty hard. I was like, oh dang, that's what that could look like. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's not what I'm getting. I'm never gonna. And like my heart was just breaking in that moment, but it's still such a good film.
It really is. I remember before I saw the movie, I remember seeing a lot of memes about it. Like me and my friends after watching Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's just a group of friends like crying,
Sobbing,
outside of the
yeah.
movie theater.
Yep, that was
But
me.
like, that doesn't that kind of betrays how like wholesome of a ending it is in a way, I guess, or like it made me think that it was gonna be like a different kind of sad, I guess.
No, it's not sad in like the ending of this movie, like everybody dies and it's awful and we're crying about that. But it's just wow, this is what there is potential here. Like
Yeah.
there is vulnerability that if talked about has the power to like change people, and you can
Crazy.
be in the middle of a terrible situation and still find reasons to like be nice and kind instead of hard and cold, and that's a valid way of dealing with things. Like that is such a good message. And then of course just acceptance as having a family that doesn't turn out the way that you think it was going to. Like all of that is way more emotionally impactful than I ever expected it to be. And of course is presented in just the weirdest, craziest film ever that somehow has hot dog fingers and raccoon ratatouilles and
Raccoon Chewy.
still makes me sob. I have not seen it since, because I'm not ready to experience that emotion again, but I intend to rewatch it at some point in time.
Yeah, I know Blue Parappa hasn't seen it, so when I'm ready for a rewatch, I can watch it with her. It's definitely one of those ones that needs a rewatch because it's so dense.
It is, and so detailed. Like there's so many great outfits too. Whoever was making all of Jobu Tapaki's outfits could have worked on JoJo.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love the one where it's just like Build-A-Bears stitched into a jacket. I'm like, that's it. That's the idea. That's fashion.
I'm just thinking about when her hair is done up into the really fancy, like, everything bagel bun.
It's
In the end, I
fantastic.
think.
It's so good. I loved seeing Halloween costumes of that and and the raccoon tui. I don't know how they
Raccoon
pronounce.
Tui.
Yeah, I don't know the correct pronunciation.
Have you seen Swiss Army Man, the director's
I
previous work?
tried to watch Swiss Army Man and I just couldn't. I couldn't get into it. I was like, I want to because people say it's good, but this is too much for me. I'm so sorry.
There are a lot of fart and boner jokes, so
Yeah.
that's fair. But I'm like just have secretly always been an elementary schooler when it comes to my humor, so just like fart and boner jokes just get me still. What can I say?
Someone in my chat, Barely Tamed, is talking about their ideas for their Sisters of Battle army and was talking about pastel blue and white as the main color scheme, which I agree with. And then they said poutine themed might be a bit too far for you. I don't think it goes far enough. Frankly, if you're gonna incorporate Canada as like a theme and you wanna do that, I say go for it. Poutine themed Sisters of Battle should be in this world. I've never had poutine because it's not like a thing in the part of the world that I live in. Uh, but I hear that it's great.
It's I mean, it's one of those dishes that, like, yeah, it's iconically Canadian. It's a pretty simple dish though, so I find like, it's hard to mess up a poutine. It's just like, yeah, cheese curds, gravy, fries. If those three ingredients are good, then like, yeah, you can make a good poutine.
I don't understand
Here,
why that's
yeah, I
not
think like,
being served in the Midwest. People fucking love cheese here.
well, I was surprised to hear that you'd never had poutine because I know like the American chain restaurants that are up in Canada, like a lot of them have poutine.
Maybe they do and I just don't order it. I don't know. Like, when I'm eating french fries, I want to have them with ketchup and I don't want them to get soggy. So maybe it's just me being like, the gravy will make them soggy and that will make them not good.
Well, yeah, that's why poutine's not a good like food to DoorDash. It's good to like eat it like when it's like hot and fresh.
Mm.
There's a good like poutine place that's like a bit of a it's like I guess it's a chain in my city. I don't know if it exists outside the city, but they'll have like a bunch of different fun poutines you can get, like a taco poutine or like a butter chicken poutine.
Butter chicken's
and
good.
stuff like that.
Butter chicken is good. I know
butter chicken combined with like fast foods is good. Like butter chicken pizza, I'll wreck an entire one of those.
Hell yeah.
How's the painting on your Gushin going? We've broken the 2-hour mark on our stream, so go us.
Whoop whoop. It's going pretty good actually. I've gotten pepperonis painted on the top half, and I'm working on painting the pepperonis on the bottom half. And yeah, he still kind of has like a poison dart frog look right now, and isn't looking particularly like pizza, but that's pretty expected because I still have to add all of the other stuff. But he definitely looks more like a pizza Gundam today than he did yesterday, which is making me happy.
Nice. I am just been chugging along on this unit of boys. I'm feeling like we could probably wrap the stream up soon with the amount of paint on my palette left. I know we're getting close to the usual time when we wrap things up. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good about the progress that I've made. So let me know when your palette, or if you want to wrap up now, or if you have another color that you got to work through. That'll totally work for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm painting metallic paints off the dry palette right now, so I'll just like keep going until that's all used up.
Sure.
Can't save it.
Yeah, you don't have the same ability as with the WAP to save that.
in my very first video, the Monster Energy Marine, I had like a dumb quip about putting like using metallics on my wet palette, but I no longer do that.
I loved that video so much. Like, I didn't know you at the time, and you had just been like, "Yep, I'm starting a channel," and I would have been like,
That
"Oh,
was the very
cool.
beginning.
Let me check out this channel." And then your video was hilarious, and I know
Thank
I
you.
was one of the very first people to ever watch and comment on that video, and I'm like, yeah, I'm so glad we became friends as a result of it, because I value our friendship, obviously, but I love that Kyle, the freaking monster marine, is part of the reason why we're friends.
Well, thanks. I couldn't have made it this far without your support, and I remember, I remember like when you posted your first video. I'm trying to remember what the video was. Was it the orc pizza?
Yeah, pizza
The
orcs.
floor?
Ironically, while I'm now painting a pizza Gundam, how the times don't change at all. But yeah, it was the painting the orcs like that cup from the '90s, and then the follow up
Right.
was doing bowling alley bases for them.
Good times.
I'm still proud of that video. Like, obviously I have a better microphone and stuff now, so the audio in my new videos is better. But like, still a solid concept and not a terrible video. I'm very
Yeah, I don't
proud
know
of
if I'd say I'm proud of my first Monster Energy Marine video, but I'm not ashamed of it so much to like take it off. Other
it.
YouTubers would delete some of their old videos, but I mean, maybe I'll be at some point down the line where I would. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with deleting old videos if you don't want it to be up there, but I'm like, it's the beginning of the Model Mayhem journey. I gotta keep it up there for archival purposes at the very least.
I'm proud of it because I wanted to find a project that really felt like this is gonna be the kind of, oh god, like the thesis statement of what the channel is, and I was
Oh,
like, yeah, I
a
think
little bit,
that
yeah.
I think that pizza orcs and their armor is the cup from the '90s. Like, I think that that pretty much summarizes the kind of shit that you can expect me to get up to.
It's a strong opening for sure.
It did well. It did better than I ever expected it to do. And then at one point, Dana Howe was kind enough to promote it on her channel, and it got a couple hundred more views. So, um, yeah, it's one of my better viewed videos, and I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, that's what the small YouTubers need is some kind of like, or it's hard to deny the like usefulness of a effectively made shout out from a larger YouTuber. That definitely helped me out as well.
Obviously, the video I have that has the most views is the clown collab video, but I don't feel bad
Nice.
about that getting shout outs because I worked really hard putting that collab together. Um,
Yeah, that
and
was
I'm
a long haul to get that all together.
It was. I did not realize how much coordination it would take, nor how much postage it would take to make sure
Yeah.
that all of that got where it was going and then came back. So I don't feel bad about that one getting as much. And obviously, like, it's a video I would want to exist because it's like, hey, all of these YouTubers that you may watch and look up to are like, yeah, we're gonna do Pride Month shit and be like, hi, we are either members of the LGBTQ or supporters of that, and you belong in this hobby space. Like, that's a good thing to have out there. I think
It
that's
needs
good.
to happen every now and then.
It really does. I try to be as queer on my channel as I can be, but I don't want to just paint everything the non binary flag colors all the time, you know? I'm like, I feel like I embody the spirit of being non binary pretty solidly between my Mothman
Mm-hmm.
obsession and my general, like, just the fact that I am non binary probably helps with that. But, like, yeah, I just want to make sure that like there are queer hobbyists out there who are or like able to say that and not have that be the only time they ever talk about it. Like all of my paint jobs are kind of weird and non-conventional, and I hope that that's just like another thing that someone can be like, yeah, that's fine. There's space for that in this hobby too. Which there is and should
inspired me
be.
to do a Pop-Tart Gundam, so
Fucking love the Pop Tart Gundam. Anytime anyone does a food paint job and is like, you inspired this, like someone did. Brady did a Neopets
yeah.
paint job and was like, and I can justify this because Fiverr, and I was like, hell yeah, you can. That is exactly why you can justify a Neopets paint job. I will be there for you to justify your Neopets paint job, and it looks so good. I'm so happy. There's people
Yeah, I
out
think I
there
saw
doing
pictures of that.
doing dumb stuff and making poor choices with their models, and I'm the reason for it. What other legacy could you envision? Truly. It's so good. Also, I mean, your Pop-Tart Gundam genuinely looks really great, and I love the Pop-Tart base almost more than the Gundam. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's just a Pop-Tart. And I love that. And I know you're not gonna paint a whole squad of Pop-Tart Gundams. That was like a one-off thing. But also you should paint a whole squad of Pop-Tart Gundams and not make it a one-off thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any more of those Gundam artifact models right now. They're not super common, but yeah. Someone made a comment, like, today or yesterday, I think on the, like, ASMR short for that video, and they're like, you should do an army of these.
Mm-hmm. They're right. I mean, I know you're not going to because you have other projects. Like, a lot of the time people are like, you should do this, and I'm like, you're right, and then I'm not gonna do that thing. That does not make
Oh
it
yeah,
wrong.
that describes so many YouTube comments. Is like, you should, like, people saying you should do a thing, not realizing how long that thing would take, but yeah.
And they're right. Like, I should do that. It's a good idea. I just, it doesn't fit into what I actually already have worked on or intend to do. They're not wrong. I should do that, but, like, I'm not going to.
Yeah. Well, I've used all the paint on my palette, so if anyone
Perfect.
in chat has any last words to get out, now's the chance.
Final questions.
Thanks for sticking around, Ethan and Nathaniel.
Thank you to everybody who's stuck around on my end as well. I did manage to just finish painting the pepperonis as you were finishing up, so I'm really pleased at how that timing worked out.
Good timing.
I'm not getting any last questions so far yet.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get anything either. My chat was already kind of slowing down a bit.
All right.
So
well,
I thank you, Fiverr, once again for the co-stream. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a delight as always. I hope we get to do more of these in the future. And I hope you have a good rest of your night.
Yeah, you as well. All right, good night, everyone. Oh, Nathaniel, the best poutine I've ever had was the butter chicken poutine, probably. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Just had a question right at the last minute there.